G'day everyone, back again, welcome. Thank you Mike, appreciate your comments. Hope you do well with your parcel. I myself mine in Andamooka, bit south of Andamooka, but we don't pull too much out at the moment, so I also buy a lot when I can, especially when I'm up there. I like the cutting. That was main attraction to all the mining to start with as well. And I've also learnt silversmithing, so I could sort of do a bit more work with the stones I've cut. Hopefully I'll be able to show you a little bit of all these things eventually. I'll take you up to my mine, give a bit of a tour, go into town, buy some parcels, come back, cut them, and see what we can make out of it. Hopefully sort of gives people an idea of the effort, I suppose, involved in pulling this good sort of material together, as it's a bit limited for the decent bits. So yeah, I'll be talking about that in other videos and so forth. Today I'll be sort of making use of smaller opals, smaller pieces. So I've got a few I've circled it out, and we'll be sort of showing just how to get a bit more out of these little bits that have got only a little bit of colour in them. So that's got a nice little bit. Get it wet, get it to show up on camera. Where are we? So there we go. It's a bit of a flush there. It's in there. So it's in there and it's hidden. Pretty much the thickness this side, but it goes a bit thin the other side. So we'll see what we can get out of it. Maybe nothing, maybe something. This one I have to knock this little top off, but it's got a really nice flash in there under there. Nice orange. Oops. It's all happening out the front. Siren's going off again. Helicopters one night. And just a couple more bits, just to clean them up and see what's in them. There's not too much you can see with this camera, I suppose. So we take the top off. There's a bit of colour in there, but at the top here. But it's all encased still in its original out the ground form. And just a couple more little bits. This one's a bigger bit, I should say. This one I should be able to cut a decent stone out of. I'm not sure if the colour's going to come up. There we go, there's a bit. It's very directional. But there's colour all through that, so we're just going to knock the top off it and see what size stone I can get out of it. And another one here, it's just got a couple of little bars in it. I think travel through the other side enough that I might be able to get something out of this piece. So we'll knock the top off of that as well, as we can already see in the edges, and we'll see what it's going to face like and whether it's worth cutting. Could have some cracks in it. Any issues with these pieces, they may all fall apart on me. I don't know yet until I get into them. That's the gamble in cutting opal. That's the fun of it. That's why when you succeed with a really good stone, the price jumps a bit. I'm still learning on prices myself, so I probably sell my stuff on the cheaper end of the scale, so I don't overcharge. I also like to let people put their price on it if I can, because then I'm usually happy with the result anyway. I'm not sure if I under-evaluate my efforts a bit too much, but yeah. I'll go over, clean these bits up. Also, we'll be talking about, I'll show you some of my Dremel carving attachments for Mike. He's got a parcel, and he's only got a Dremel. He's got no attachments yet. I've mentioned I get a lot of my stuff. I like the Gem Master and Gem Cuts over in New South Wales. I've bought them out, so they're producing these machines under the Gem Master still, and that's brilliant. That was the machine I've got with magnetic attachments. I'll have to correct the grits on that. I think I got them wrong. I said 280, I think it's 260. But anyway, I'll show you some of my Dremel attachments, and probably in the next video I'll do a carving. Try and start one from scratch so you can get an idea of how to start cleaning up, get the sand out, figure out what size you've got, find out where the good facing bits are. Yeah, sometimes it's got a bit of potch mixed in with the colour, and that's what makes the carvings a bit better, makes them interesting looking, a bit undulating. And how to polish it all to a finished product. So I guess it's over to the wheel. Alright, so got our victims here. I'll start off with this one, see if I can get a little stone out of the end here. It's a little bit cracked up around this end, so I might not get too much out of it in the end. And start working on the others as well. Switch the machine on. Drop the stone. Hopefully the stain comes out. So it goes down a fair bit here. Bit concern. Roll the edge a bit, see if it's all the way through. Might get a stain off this end actually, it's cleared up a bit. Nice little stone on the end here. Won't be domed or anything, just be flat. The other end I might not actually get anything out of, which is kind of a surprise. Opposite of what I was expecting to do. Cut a really small little stone out of that section I could, I suppose. There was enough opal there. And I don't think it will. It's got another little white patch showing up. Might be able to slice that section off and get another little bit out of it, because I think the stain ended up being in this end. Not a very good one, but it'll be something for what it is. Yeah, it's clearing up quite nice. Up in this end. It's easy to film this white opal. A little bit of colour there, so next one I might try. And this little one, it's got a nice flush of colour into it. How it clears up and how much off the top I have to take, I'm not sure, and what will be left. But again, this will be the fun of it. So I'll just touch off the edges, see if I can clear it up a bit. Starting to come out, it's a bit of a sand patch in there. It'll have to come out. We'll take a little bit off the side, roll it over a bit. And see how far in it goes from the top. I can peer into the top for a minute. So it juts in about another millimetre. So I might be able to get it out without losing too much of the size. Yep, it's a little patch of there. It's mostly cleared up. The end of the side thins out a bit, so just gotta watch what these little bits of sand do. It's clearing up quite well all the way around. Final corner.
little shape on the end of my muzzle. Make an oval out of this one. The shape allows for it. It's only a little bit of minimal loss. Just get a nice little shape. So I might go for an oval. Just flatten the back off a little bit. I'm not pushing too hard on this stone, just letting the stone do the wheel, sorry. Let the wheel do the work. I can leave some of that base, it's not going to be the top quality stone. It'll be something nice. Just clear off my glasses. Not really going to try and do a really perfect oval on this freehand. I'll wait till I get it on the dop, do the final shaping. Rough enough is good enough at the moment. I risk taking more off doing it this way, and using the stick on the dop makes it a lot more easier. I might just clean a little bit of that top off so that we can see underneath it a bit. May not face all the best, I don't think, I'm not sure. Bit of a sand spot that side too, it's going to be an issue. Don't drop the stone. That can happen as well. I put towels down underneath me, so if I drop anything it's got a soft landing. So I'm not sure if any of that's going to come up on the camera. It's a little bit weak in colour from the top view. And the side was better. But once I roll it, hopefully some of that side view will travel up a bit. So it'll be kind of a, doesn't face quite well, but it may display on the angles as you roll the stone around. You might get the colour coming out more. We'll leave that one for the dop at the moment. That's those two. I'm pretty keen to see what's under this one, to be honest. It's got a nice flash, so we can get it to come out. Yeah, it is. We'll just take this top off. I don't chew too much away, and hopefully that crack doesn't go down too far that the face makes it impossible to get to without having a line through it. It's got some really nice colour. You can see the colour coming right out from underneath it, all the way through to this end where my thumb is. Going there somewhere. So take it down a little bit more. Get rid of that line that runs through the middle from the chip that came out. Super light pressing, taking up minimal. I think that's got the face of that quite well. so it shows up on camera. In there. There we go. Flush in there. So I'll take off this side a bit more. So I don't think the colour travel that far. Won't be losing anything that's valuable. As I come around though, I've got to be careful because the colour starts getting to the edge again. And you've got to remember to leave enough on there so that when you roll it, you don't just bring it into the colour then roll it, because then you'll actually lose some colour. Because the rolling takes off that last bit, so there's no real need to make sure this edge is thick enough to be able to use. About that wide at the moment. The colour's up the top though. So there's not much more I can take off that. Just shape it up a bit. Again, it may not end up with a high dome, but it'll be very, very bright. This one may actually need slicing in the end. Let's see what this end does. Some really nice colour on that end too, but it's a bit potched up. Around here, there's a big white potch mark through the middle. There's colour down this side. Oops, there's a camera. There's colour down here. So that'll be deciding whether I leave it with a face of that size, with two patches of colour and a white divide. I could probably do something with that with a Dremel. Put a silver through the middle. Turn it into something. So might just straighten up the back on this one. There's a surface to sit on. By turning it and twisting it like this, I get an even depth. Just try and at least keep it flat so that when it sits the opal's up the right way and it's not on tilt, because that way I can put my dop stick on the back and know it's flat and sitting flat against the dop. So that'll leave for a minute. It's a really nice flash in there actually. Let me try to get it come up in there at the top. There we go. Oh, it's purple dreams. Comes up really red at one angle. You know, I'm probably playing around a bit here. So now there's this one. Let's see if I can take the top off. But I'm going to have a potch back. Up the top of this side's where the colour is, so I'll keep the body thick by cutting it up this way as opposed to that way. So I'll just take the face down, and actually I might take this edge around a bit and see where the colour bar comes out this side. It comes a bit down here at the base but disappears again. Up high. Take more of this edge off. Some proper water on the subject. Now I can see the colour bar coming through here. Not sure if it's going to be visible on camera. It comes in across all the way through here. Starts travelling around. So we'll follow that. So I'm not sure if this bar is visible. There's a bit of red there. It goes all the way through, across all the way. Stops at the back there. It'll continue through here as well. So I'm going to try and take the top off here and bring down that top. The camera just cut out a minute ago, so we're just going to jump straight back on it. Switch on. Let's see what's under here. It's only a very thin ribbon of colour. If I go too fast or hard, it's just going to be gone. There's no getting it back. So I'm not even going to actually take it all the way through, and I'll leave a light little skin over the top, which will give me room to play with. Starting to get down to it now. I'll get this side down a bit further. I'd rather bring it down at the edges all the way around. That way in the middle, I won't have gone too far. Probably start seeing a bit of the colour coming through. Starting to show a bit of the red reflection of what's underneath, that grey skin. It's just under there now. A touch more to go. Really try not to go too hard. There is another bar underneath if I do, but out there. Not too good yet. Off this side. It's not really a super bright colour one. It's still got a slight grey over the top, which I'll take down. By the time I polish that out, pretty much that'll come down. It's not going to come down much more. It's sitting right on the bar now. Still going to come up a little bit brighter than that. But we'll put on the dop stick and see that then. There's weaker bar under, but it's not really worth chasing. I'll stop at that one and see what this will come up like. It'll probably be a flat one as is. There's nothing to dome on that. I might just trim the back up a bit. Ready for dopping. Keep it even if I can. There we go. What do we got next? This is an interesting one with a nice bright green bar on the side. Wherever. There we go. Right at the top there, so it's just under the skin. It dips down to this side, so we've got to take more off this side than this side. So we'll start at the back corner. Start taking that corner off. Straighten the stone up with the bar. Okay, start taking this side down. See if I can find a face. The green's just starting to poke through. It's just starting to show a little bit of green under there. It's just down a bit too far that side. This side it's right at the top, so a little bit more off this corner, and I'm not sure what this one's going to end up doing. Just come through a bit now. Not going to be much meat in this one, unfortunately. It's got a big potchy patch in the middle. It's not really going to come up much better than that. I might have to carve it out because it dips. I have to carve out this potch here so that this colour here around the edge dips down and follows through to there, so it might have a scooped face by the end of it. I might just shape it up a little bit. No point keeping on the excess. as good as that's going to get with this. The bar doesn't run flat, so you can't cut flat, so it'll be a Dremel job. That'll go in my carving pile. Going with the bigger stone now. I'm going to get much colour to show up on this camera yet. It's got colour all the way through from top to bottom, but I think, unfortunately for this wedge, over this side, just here, I'm going to have to knock that top off. I think that will be the top with the bar that runs on the top. Looks better than what's underneath, so I might just take the top off both actually. Start with this side. This has got a weaker colour though, but if it's directional it may get brighter on the top. It's got a bit of a white skin over it. The colour usually sits in the middle. The outer skin's where it meet up with the earth. Not sure if this is going to show up yet. Starting to get a little bit of colour, a bit of red. A couple of flashes, but not much yet. I'll just start taking this side down, just in case I don't want to have the other side faced. Very good grip on the stone, it's a good help. Always good to wear my glasses. It seems to be dipping a bit. A lot of white mixed into it. It's starting to show up a bit better, but it's very weak in colour. Well, it's being a white opal, it's very hard to see, but the colour is there. I think I might have to start shaping it up now before it gets a little bit too thin. But now it's all colour. All the white base has been taken off both sides. The white crust, I should say. So I might just shape up this, lose this corner a bit, and see what shape she wants to turn out like in the end. There's a very big dip in that side. Gotta bring it right in. This might actually be very good for carving a love heart shape. Compensate for the colour it doesn't have, or the brightness of colour. Again, I'm trying to make the most of some stones that aren't really the best, but still deserve to be cut. A shape like that should give me a nice little love heart shape out of it. I'll have to get on the Dremel, put a notch in the top there, and Dremel the curve around the outside up the top, sorry, the dome, around this end, where the wheel won't touch. Some people like the wheel to go in there and do that side, then do that side. But I prefer the Dremel. It comes up a lot more neater. I can take a bit more time, I'm not in a hurry. But that'll turn out to be a nice little love heart by the end of it. So far not a great result. I'll have to get this one cut up or Dremeled out. So not really anything I could bother cutting right now. I might get around to some of these in a little bit. One yeah, I might put this one on a dop stick and see how it goes, see if we can get it to come up. But I might find something else that I've got there that kind of make this worth watching. But this is the trials and errors, so I'll just go back over and have a look at the table. So this is a little stone I've selected out of my little pile. I'll be cutting today as well, I've decided. And meantime, on this one, I've had a look at the edge around this side and the quality of it. I think I'm best off just grinding it all down to this end here. You're seeing a little stone on the end there. So I'm just going to go back to the wheel and take all of this off of it. So I'm just bringing in this stone and slowly wear around the end I don't want. The backing on it was going to be more of a soft matrixy horrible stuff. It's not really a solid stone. It's not exactly going to be a solid stone anyway, 100%. It's just making the most of what we got. Well, for this demonstration anyway, all I've got. Putting right down now. Again, a brand new wheel, so it's making really light work of it. I'm not pushing super hard. It's more trying to hang on to the stone, I think. It's just got a little milky spot there I don't like. I'll take him out. Just give it a nice little shape. There's a little fun stone, this one. So we sort of trying to at least keep a decent colour on it. It's not super bright, but again, this is what you can do with just the cheaper end of the scale bits. You can still cut beautiful pieces, depends on what you do with it. And when it's set, if you decided to, it'd only be that face seen. So this underside that's a bit ugly, it wouldn't matter too much. Even still, we will take some of this down. There's no point having it that thick. Just a nice little thickness there. The rest of the back down, all the way around. Even shape. Even thickness, I mean. And once that goes on the dop stick, just do a little shape up and just it's got a nice flat face off of this wheel anyway, so there's no too much else to get to do to it, but take the scratch marks out and polish it. So these are the two rubs we'll be cutting today, or preforms. Again, not the thickest of thick. This one will get a slight little rise over, but this one will have to be flat. It's a nice colour in this one. Not sure if I'll trim it down to a nice shape or keep it freeform for the maximisation. These are only small stones, size my thumbnail, but they can still add with a couple of these little ones with a bigger one in a setting. And they have to get cut eventually, so I'll cut a few now. These won't be expensive or anything, but also this is what you do with your little parcels. If you can get some cheap parcels with some little bits, you can do some wonders with them. So start the machine up. Start with this one and just get a nice little shape. Trim this oval up a bit better. Don't need to take too much off. go through a little bit of this, and when I go onto all the other wheels I'll probably do it in a bit of a sped up bit, just to save you having to watch it all in real time. It's something you've probably seen already a million times, and it's not as really important to talk through it, and there's not as much revealing or showing, so that's a pretty good little shape for an oval. I'll leave that one as is. This one has a bit of a thin side with an underside there. It ducks in underneath, so I might take that in a little bit. If I take that in, I might actually even get a nice little oval out of it. Let's start by rounding off here. Taking this corner away here. I'll let the angle of whichever way the oval is going to maximise develop as I sort of shape it in. So as we've got it this shape, the camera to work, this side's nice oval shaped. Now I've just got to match up this side, but then I lose a fair bit of that colour. So I could leave it normal, I mean irregular as is, but I think I might chase a little bit of an oval. So unfortunately we're going to say goodbye to this little bit here. I'll start getting a nice little oval shape out of this end. It's not too bad, it's a little bit pointed around here. Just very lightly checking it every time, making sure you don't go too far and then you have to chase it the other side. That's a pretty good little oval shape. Colour all the way through it. Beautiful little stone, that one. Nice and bright. I like the green, or the rusty orange to the green. Reminds me of autumn. All the leaves change colour. I'm probably ranting a bit, but anyway. So now, let's give it a little bit of a, start to round off a little bit. Be careful I don't lose any of the pattern. There's a couple of bars in here and there's a little bit of a potch separating the two. I don't really want to go down too far, otherwise I'll have to go through the other potch bar and match it. And there won't be much left of the stone by then. Let's give it a white. Check the shape. Down this side. And I've just popped this one off the stone, so I'll have to go back and put this one on the dop stick. I'll get that done in a minute, but that's pretty much, that's all I need to do on this wheel, so I'll sort that out in a minute, and we'll get back to these on the other wheel. there we are, straight on with the polish wheel. Knock these out and finish the backs up and weigh them. Well, this one anyway. This one's not really worth weighing. Get our wheel nice and wet. Try not to get the camera too wet. You bought your rain jackets. Checking them, make sure they come out beautifully. A bit of wheat colour in this one, but it's a nice colour. It's good for a specimen or something. I suppose you could set it if you really wanted. But for me, some of these ones just end up in my collection. Sometimes I give these away when I sell them, just as a bonus to someone. Still put a bit of time into it, so it's not rubbish, but they're not super valuable. Just for the simple fact that, I don't know, maybe I just value it differently. So that's enough for that one. The water, the powder. And I'll also be again talking a bit about some of the Dremel pieces I've bought for carving, just explain and show a few bits, sort of for Mike I suppose. Since he's got a Dremel he's going to attack his Opal with, and see if I can sort of just share some of my knowledge. If it helps, it helps. A lot of it's trial and error and getting used to how to move your hands in coordination with each other while you've got a Dremel in one hand, you've got a stone in the other, and you've got to use some water. You can't just do it dry. It's a lot of messy, wet sort of work doing carvings or Dremel work, mainly to keep the burrs cool, and if you really don't want the silica dust up in the air either from the Opal, but also so the bits last longer too and work a little bit more effectively when they're wet, keeping them at the correct running speeds and so forth. And I try and keep most of my bits the same shape, that way as I go through my grits I'm not going to end up with a bigger bit that can't fit into a gap that I created with a smaller bit, and I won't be able to get in and polish it. So everything's mostly the same size, bullet head shape. But carving can be a bit more time consuming, that's for sure, and worth the effort in my book, and more for specimen-y, odd shaped pendant type opals. That's about done, I think. That's a really good finish on that one. So you can get some decent angles. So some really nice colour throughout this one. All different angles. Going from straight on. So yeah, we'll go take these off the dop sticks. I'll clean the backs up quickly and might weigh this one. I'll say there's at least a carat roughly in there, just under maybe. So I'm just going to take these off. Pop them off like that. Don't apply much pressure, just find it right on the, oh look at that. That was ready to come off. ripe fruit. This one I'm not going to worry about the back too much. It's clean, it's flat. There's not really much I'm going to need to do with it. Can't imagine setting it in a hurry. I may do. It's turned out quite a decent little stone. It's a nice colour in it. It's not cracked through the face, as the whole stone seemed to have had a few cracks running through it. But yeah, I don't mean to call it rubbish either. It's quite a nice little stone. I just mean it's that thin layer on top's the opal, and that rest of that body will be the host rock that surrounded it. It was partially opalized with it. So don't count that in the weight of an opal, but the opal's evaluated mostly by its look, even though it was a carat weight appraised. The carat weight's more important with big high domed stones and so forth. When it's flat like this, it's more about surface area and what you can see. This one I hope will turn out really nice. I've got to be careful from here on not to mess it up. If I do something wrong and have to go back and do the face again, I won't be too happy. So, where are we? Even though this one's sort of translucenty, it's not transparent, but it's also got some really nice bright colour on it. It's just flooded full of colour. I could probably even, no, I'll just do a nice polish on the back. I won't bother trying to double face, it's a bit thin for that. But it's very bright, beautiful, multicoloured. Goes from blue to green to rusty orange. So yeah, I'll go clean these up on the back, get the final shape up, and see you in a minute for weights on this one anyway. So got a nice little polish on the back here, so the whole stone's well polished. I'm just going to take it off the dop, pop, and very gently remove some of the wax. Very gently. Back down. I'm just going to give these a quick wipe on my pants. A little excess wax on the excess on the outside. Excuse me, I'm half concentrating. There we go. So, nice and cleaned up, front and back, well polished. It's almost double-sided, beautifully. Easily display the back on this one. We can make that the top. Should have faced it both sides. No, I had to pick a side. This is the side originally picked. So this side it is. It's a slight roll over. Bit of dome. Very low. It's not just flat, which is good. So, get our scales out. The on button. And we have 0.24, so we have a carat. 1.2 carats. Awesome. So, I don't know what that's worth per carat. That's what it's worth. I think it looks gorgeous. I'll probably might stick it in a ring. And hopefully someone one day will like it. So yeah, that's that one. Might as well whack the other one on since we've got the scales on, just for curiosity's sake. Yeah, 2 carat on the nose. That's pretty good. And again, not too bad for a piece that would have never really had a life beyond sitting in a bucket or a pile. Just getting trashed, never amounting to much. Oops. Get the focus happening here. So it's got some really nice colour in it. But not super bright. Camera's sort of picking up a little bit better than... Oh no, I can see it with the eye now. I can see colour at an arm's distance, so I suppose that counts for something, apparently. But yeah, that'll just probably sit in my collection. Enough. Alright, for Mike, I thought I'd go through some of these Dremel bits and just show you sort of this one I'm in the middle of. I think I showed this in an earlier video. We're carving, I'm just in the middle of cleaning up. I haven't started actually polishing yet. There's a few others in here. That was a nice bit of shell. Here's another one. Bit of an odd shape, so I carved a few decals in the leftover bit that didn't have much colour, because the main colour's down the stone there. So I could have either cut that stone out, or I thought I'd put it into a carving. So I've done some really weird sort of layerings to it, just to give it some interest and a bit of a grooves in the back. Plus they were getting out the sand and then just making it look half interesting, I suppose. It's not really a carving of anything specific, and then some of them are just odd shaped. They've got some holes in them. There's some bits that go right deep in, crevices. This piece is to be whittled down a bit more. It's only just been really cleaned up, and they'll figure out where most of the colour lies. I'm not sure if it's being picked up there. It's only mostly around the top surface, the rest is potchy underneath. There's a layer of greens and purples, and it just looks interesting. It's good for a specimen. There we go, it's come up a little bit better. Again, Opal's a very elusive thing to film and photograph. I think that's why a lot of the industry people didn't advertise it in their catalogues, because nobody could get the one to look like it did in the catalogue, and then they complain. So yeah, it's another little carving. It's just neatening up its shape. You can sort of see the formation layers still in it, and the coloration. And it just ended up that shape mostly because of the shape it was, and then how it cleaned up. For a carving, there's no point whittling it down too small. So the pieces, Dremel bits I use will be these ones here. Got a bit of a collection going on. I have bought a lot of them from Gem Cuts, but I'm not in any way promoting Gem Cuts. I'm not saying you have to shop there. I'm not affiliated with them in any way as such. Shelley's Lapidary was in Adelaide. They shut down, and on their website there was a link to Gem Cuts, and so that's where I've just gone to. We also have stores in town that I can buy things from as well, so wherever you shop, but these guys are pretty good on price, I must say. So without getting the invoices out, I can't tell you too much about the price. Suffice to say, they went $13, I think, was the most expensive of these sintered bits. Sintered, it's all the way through, as opposed to coated, which is a barrel that's got a coating, and then the coating wears off, so this one's worn right off. It's got nothing left but a nice shiny cylinder, so it didn't last very long. And so these ones will last a lot longer. Here's the 150 grit, and see if I can get this to focus. So yeah, they have grit all the way through to the base, so it'll wear down, but you'll get a lot more use out of these for a couple of bucks extra.
So, and they, yeah, the amount of use you'll get out of it before you need to buy another one, you should be doing all right with the carving, or you're doing something wrong with wearing these out. I do use this tub of water over here, big pot, always keep it full of water, and one hand in the water, keep the tip of this in there. Sometimes you can bring it up and out, but as soon as it starts drying out while you're carving, the last thing you want is for that to happen. And so if you get too much dust, you end up with issues. Mainly, yeah, keep it wet. The bits will last a heck of a lot longer. They don't heat up and, yeah, deteriorate as quick. Plus it gives it a good coating and keeps everything clear while you're doing it. As I say, it sprays up a bit, but it's not too much of a problem if you get into it. Always use a set of headset like this one. It's always better to see what you're doing. And all the grits, I start off, these are ones I've recently bought, 70 grit. I've got 80 grit, up to 150 grit, which is the one that's in here at the moment. And I've got 170 grit, 200 grit, 400 grit, 600 grit. By the time I get to the 600 grit with the carving, you can source your own from wherever you get them. Nova do them, a form of these. They're a polishing tip. They're a very hard rubber compound with the grit impregnated throughout it, and they do wear down. That's the one I'm using at the moment. You can see the original size it would have been. So I bought a few of these. They were only $1 something each, Australian. And that's the coarse, which takes over from the 600 grit of the Dremel bit, of the sintered, and then through the colour system you go down through the grits for coarse, medium, fine, extra fine, extra fine, and by the time you get down to extra fine, I grab a tin of cerium oxide, and then I'm onto one of these. And all I've done here is got a piece of dowel and one of these Dremel bits with the screw end, and just screwed it into there. And then I went up to my sander and I put this in the Dremel, and I span this as the sander span against that, and then I just gave it a nice shape. Try to keep it the same point that will fit in the same sort of whatever gap this can make. This point can fit in. I know it's a bit fatter, but right at the tip's the main idea of getting it to be able to fit in, and it does. I don't make them too deep, otherwise I may have to make another one. Sometimes I get out with a thinner stick and just work it around by hand, work around the cerium oxide by hand, and that takes a long while skin polishing. It's not something you can do in a hurry. It can take time, especially when you're going through your grits. You don't want to take off right down to the finished product on the hardest grit, because then you've not left enough room to clean up those grit marks, which will wear it down that little final bit, but can change the look of Opal, especially with the nature of it, especially thin bands. If you go down to it and you leave not enough, you may end up polishing straight through it, which is not hard to do if you're starting out. Some other bits I've got, some just cutting bits. So these I did actually buy from Shelley's Laboratory back when they were open. There's different shaped ones. This is like a knife blade edge grinding tip. I can't remember the grit, I think it's 600. Also, I use wet rub. This is a flush grinding bit, and I've had one that wore down, so that this bit got off. So I've just scratched all the rest of what was left off. Then I got me jeweler's blade for silversmithing, and just cut a slot straight down the center of it. And now I just put that back in my Dremel bit. I slide some sandpaper in there and I'm good to go. And I can use wet rub with a bit of water in this, and that helps. Before I got these, I did that mainly, but I also use this for sanding up when I'm doing silversmithing. So it's some handmade tools, some stuff you can sort of adapt and make yourself. I'll go through this a bit more thorough in another video I'll make for carving, and hopefully that'll give you some idea on how to go about cleaning up your pieces, for specimen more so with carving. Sometimes if they're nice enough and they can be set in jewellery, go for it. Opal's a beautiful thing, none of it should be wasted, so carving's the way to go if you don't like wasting, and I don't, so I actually do quite a few carvings. But if it can be cut into an oval or an appeasing shape and you're trying to chase dollars, then you've got to really source your opal, I suppose, and that'll be another video. We'll go up to Andamooka and we'll go buy a parcel. I'll show you what I buy and the price I can reveal. Depends how much of a bargain I get. No, I'll try and give you as much information as I can, and see what I can do. But yeah, I hope that's enough for this video. I think we've cut some nice stone, well, stones. A nice stone, a couple of nice stones for what they were anyway. Don't waste your little bits, and anyone who wants to start out, it's not that hard just to get a couple of bits together, and it's just a sanding process where you start off with a coarse grit, run down to your fine grits. However you can do it, you do it. We're not out for a race, we're not in an industry where we're trying to work on the clock and cut as many in a day as possible, so take your time, enjoy it, come out with something beautiful at the end of it. You only get one chance to cut it, don't waste it. And yeah, I hope to see you back for some more. Thanks again, catch you next time.